Hey everybody, you got Wayne and William here, and we got Mark B, that's, as they say, behind the glass, Mark from Bangladesh, that's helping us. Mark, why don't you say hi? You've been quiet today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello everyone.
Turn your mic up. Turn your mic up a little, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Usually,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There you go. That's better. And we got William and I'm just going to turn it over to William here in just a second. This is our bi-weekly series that William's doing for us, and he has just been one of our most amazing teachers, and he'll continue to do that today. Just a couple of announcements. Over in the chat area, you'll find, and for those of you that are watching this as a replay, it will actually be a download that you can get on the page that you see the replay on, both the chat and the questions. And in the chat roll, there are several links that you might want to look at. And one of them is for a summit that William's going to participate in later in April about vertical gardening, and it's an online summit. And another one is for another online summit that I think is in February sometime, called Eat Your Dirt. And finally, I put one up there for something really sort of special we're doing tomorrow. Haven't marketed this much, but it's a link for a very kind of short webinar that I'm doing on 5 keys. So here's the title of it: 5 keys to make you healthier and happier, and to help you create a legacy for generations to come. And I've been doing a bunch of research on this. I think you would enjoy it if you come. It's at noon Pacific or noon Mountain Time. You'll have to figure that out. But the link is there. If you click on it, you can register for it. It's on the calendar also for the EAT team. And I'll just mention that and then finish here. Some of you who have registered for this are not members of our Economic Action Team yet. Sometime later today, after the webinar is over, if you're not already a member, I'll be going through the list of registrants for this today and adding you. So you don't have to worry about it. You'll be added. And then you're going to get access to the replay of this for a week, of this webinar today. You'll get a bunch of other things. You'll actually get some of the other webinars that William has done. Lots of really cool stuff. And that's the group that's doing this. So this is being sponsored by the Economic Action Team. That is a business involved with the Institute of Economics. And weird word, and I'll describe what that word means a little bit on this webinar that I'm doing tomorrow. So anyway, with all that said, let's just turn it over to William. It's all yours, man. Go for it, and I'll turn off my webcam and just sit and listen myself.
Okay. Now, if everybody's hearing me loud and clear, I'll just start by saying that this webinar is all about creating a base map, and I'll go through all the options that I found, let's say, easy, because there are many options to create a base map. You'll see the one that I chose, and I'll show you some videos. And the thing is, as I'll be describing each of those 3, once I'm done with the video, I'll look at the questions. So if you have any questions before I move forward to the next method, I encourage you to ask rather after that than at the end. All right, so last time when I was talking about finding land, people were asking about a page where they can find the resources that I was talking about, the website that I was talking about. Everything is on this site. If you go there, you just click the link and then you register, and you'll get access to. I keep on putting the resources there, and the resources that I'll be talking today will be there. That's mostly links to websites and links of the material that I use for this presentation, but also certain specific files that I'm using for creating a base map. So we are now in design phase and preparing a base map. I had somebody saying last time, what does it all have to do with my presentations? What do they have to do with transitioning to permaculture lifestyle? Well, I'm talking about designing and setting up a permaculture farm, and for that we go through all these steps. And last time we were talking about finding appropriate land, and we said that one of the 5 main components of resilient permaculture farm is your community and location of your farm. And I said that that was the first step. So we talked about that last time, and we started by saying that first you need to be, you need to define your context. And that's because if each of us has its own unique situation, and we need to start from there. That means identifying, what the people involved in the project into finding that land. If you already have land, then the same thing applies. You need to identify resources, talk about your vision, define your vision, and set up your goals. That's the first step in either in finding land or either in just starting your design, start designing your farm. And I said last time that finding appropriate land, if you're doing it, there are certain, I recommend certain steps depending on, if you're trying to decide where to move on national level, where to move, in regional level, or if you're just have opportunity to look at specific sites within the region. So I first, said that we should look at the national level, but not many of us have the opportunity to move countries, if they want. So I would say that the most important thing, if you are staying within the country, is to first look at the characteristics of the region. If you have the opportunity to choose the regions where you're going to live, or choose the state where you're going to live, you first look at the specifics of that regions, like climate, what are the climate conditions, then the landscape. And when I say landscape, I mean geography, geology, and general type of the soil, and then also the biome of the region. And based on that, finally you look at the communities, and based on that, all of those factors, but mostly, let's say, community, you make largest circle, around a favorite city that you would like to gravitate towards, and you start then looking within those circles. You decide actually how far you want to be from that, population center, and then you search within that region. And once you're on the site itself, you look at specific, characteristics, and that's water, slope, and aspect, axis, and soil and vegetation cover. So if you want to know more, you just go and watch my previous presentation. But now once you have site, or let's say that you already bought the site, if you have a site, the first step would be, of course, to do some observations and start planning, start the design. And for that, you would need a base map. Base map is the starting point for a permaculture design. That's the template that you'll be using to create your design, but also be using it for site analysis and assessment. So base map is something that shows, let's say, permanent characteristics of the site, permanent features of the site, but it also includes scale, site rotation, and other elements, as we're going to see today. Contours. That's probably the most important thing that you want to get on your base map. So, what do you need for base map? Well, for the base map, you need to acquire aerial or satellite photo. You need a topographic map, and then overlaying the two, you actually get the base map. This is the whole point of, it's not that easy to do, but that's why we are going to go through all the steps today. Let's say I group those steps into, you'll see 3 different ways, from let's say the beginner, the easy mode, to intermediate, to, let's say, more professional mode. And that's what I need to say before we start. It all depends on how serious you are about designing a site. If you're not that serious, if you don't have the budget, then you'll have to satisfy yourself with having, let's say, less accurate data. But if you're more serious about it, you invest money. Sometimes you don't even have to invest money to get a decent base map. So the map that you're looking, the base map that I created here is just I done it by using free data that I found online, and then just use it using a graphic design software. We'll talk about that as well. Okay, so the first one is something that I call level beginner. This is the easiest thing that you can do. It's easy, it's not time consuming, but I would say it's very inaccurate. But you know, but it's better than not having anything. So for this we are going to use free tools, Google Map, and when I say Google Map, I mean we're going to use especially the feature of Google Map, the terrain view, and we're going to use Google Earth and some free topographic layer that can be found online. Okay, so the first one is Google Maps. For this, I'm going to play you a video, and then, as I'm going to explain, after I finish video, you can ask me questions. I'll answer the questions, we can recap and move to the next one. Okay, so I'll play a video right now, and then you tell me if you can see the video and if you understand what I'm talking about and everything. Alright, so I'll just full screen this. Okay, so you open your browser and you search for Google My Maps. Okay, so Google My Maps, that's important because you have Google Maps, but you also, people sometimes don't even realize that there is a My Maps options. And you're going to see why it is important, because you can go to, Google My Maps and then create a map. You create a map and then you can call it whatever you want. The thing is here that Google My Maps allows you to draw different layers. So you can have different layers on top of the satellite photo or on top of the terrain map. And we are going to use this feature right now. So, of course, you locate your property. In this example, I'm using Ben Folk's full system design site, and just to show off the features. So you find your property, and okay, so we're there, and then you can use the base map option to actually switch different views. So I switch to satellite view right now, and I'm going to name this layer. The first thing that I'm going to do is draw a property boundary, and that's in all base maps. That's the thing. You can use the add line or shape tool to draw that property boundary. And I'm just assuming how the property boundary, where the property boundary is. Probably I'm wrong. Most certainly I'm wrong, but just to show off the feature, I'm drawing the property boundary first, because then I can, I always have that reference when I'm, drawing different features where my property boundary is, so I don't have to draw all the contours. I'll just draw the main ones. So you can name it whatever you want. I'll name it the property boundary, and change the color into something that can be easily seen, and into red. You can do whatever color you want, whatever thickness of the line you want. Okay, so we have a property boundary marked. So you see that's the option that you wouldn't have usually on Google Maps. That's why Google My Maps is good. And I would add another layer, and that's for our contours, and I would name it contour. Then you go and change your base map to terrain view. Okay, and the terrain view will see once you zoom out enough, then you can see the contours. Okay, so you can see the terrain. Okay, so now you see all the terrain, how the terrain looks like, and all the contours. So this is pretty useful, but as you can see, because I had to zoom out so much, I get only like 3 contours on the property. That's good, better than nothing, but that's, I would say, that's just to get an idea, how the property contours look like and how the terrain looks like. And then you use again that line tool and you draw in another layer. You draw on the top of the, you just follow the contour lines and you draw the contour lines with this tool. Okay, so you do it for the first contour, you do that for the second one, you do that for the third one, and eventually you have the contour lines in your layers. Then you can switch them on or off or whatever, but that's the point. You just draw in that layer on top of this map that we are seeing, the terrain map that shows contours. So I'm going to do that for the second one and third one. Maybe I can speed it up. Okay, I'll leave. As you can see, it's not rocket science. You just use the tool, the line tool, and you draw your contours. You draw, and you can name them. You name them. You look what the contour line is, what the elevation is, and then you name that so you know actually what that elevation actually is telling you. So, and once I'm done, okay, then I can of course change the color, change the thickness, whatever. But the point is, I have actually my base map, and once I zoom in, the contour stays. As you can see, if you zoom in, usually you wouldn't see them, but because you put them in another layer, you can see them now. And if I switch to a satellite view, I have a base map. Sure, I don't have all the features of a base map, like permanent features. I would need to, actually do the same for the house and other features that I know, but that's, we're going to talk about that next time. So here is your actually base map. You just now take a screenshot, and based on that image, you have a base map. So that's the easiest, as I said. That is the easiest way you can do a base map. And if there are no questions, if there is any questions about this method, just please, feel free to ask. This is pretty self-explanatory. This is easy. If you have, if you don't have any other options, this is the easiest one that you can do for actually creating something that you can use for your design. As I said, as you can see from the map, you don't, you get a few contours, you get the general gist of your property, how the contour lines are looking, but you get what you pay for, and you pay nothing, and you don't spend. And I done it in 5 minutes, so that's kind of the easiest way you can do that. Okay, so I'll move to the next one. If there are no questions, let me see. Okay.
No, I don't see any. No, Daniel just asked one. William, he said, would contour line its own layer, or were they all on the same one?
Each one, each line is within the layer that I created. I call the layer the contours. Okay, so I had two layers. The first one is my property boundary. The second one were contours. And within that layer, I had all the lines. Okay, so the lines are actually going into that layer, and we'll see. That's the kind of the whole point of dealing with this issue, is that you'll be dealing with layers in Google Maps, in Google Earth, and also in graphic design software that we're going to see later. Okay, so let's move to the next one, and that's Google Earth. Okay. Here we're going to get a little bit more detailed map. As you're going to see, probably, let's see, this is a little bit longer, but all right. So here, I'm going to show you how to do it in Google Earth, but you need to understand that there are two different topographic map data that I'm going to use. One is for US and one is for the rest of the world. US usually has much detailed data, and the first one that you can use is you go to EarthPoint website. So EarthPoint website actually has, as you can see down there, it has a topographic map. You go there, everything is going to be in the resources, but just remember, if you're going to do it now, just go to earthpointus, And here you can download Topomap US topographic maps on Google Earth, and you download the file. That's for the US. If you want to do the same thing with the topographic layer in for the rest of the world, same thing in the Google Earth, you would use ArcGIS World Topographic Map. You would go to their website, and once you scroll down, so here scroll down and download the layer World Topographic Map, and here you can view in different software, and you choose the Google Earth and also download, and then you open that in your Google Earth. Okay, you just click on it and then it opens. As you can see on the sidebar, in my temporary places, I opened the Earth Point Topomap, and that's a file that actually grabs data from their server and puts it into Google Earth as a layer. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing as I did with Google Maps. I'll put the address. So if you're doing you put the address of your property, you zoom in. Again, I'm doing this on Ben Folk's property. And okay, so here we are, and now we're going to see once I enable that layer in Google Earth, the Earth Point Topomap, actually it's going to get that topographic map on the server, and I put it here, so you can see that I have, because I zoomed in here, actually the server actually took that topomap and overlaid it in Google Earth. So it's here, and it's more detailed than the one that we're using in Google Map. For the rest of the world, I'm not sure if it's detailed as the one in is more detailed than one in Google Maps, but as you can see here, once you have it in Google Earth as a layer, you can use the transparency slider, and as you move the transparency, you can see that you can still see the contours overlaid on your satellite view, and basically that's what you want to do. So Google Earth does it for you without you doing much. So basically, just import, and you already have the base map. And I'm going to do the same thing as with Google Maps. First, I'm going to draw the property boundary. I'm going to add new path, and I'm going to name it the property boundary, and I'm just going to draw. I'll just speed this up. Basically, it's the same thing. So you would draw, and you would name your path, and you would draw, and once you're done, that's it. That's your property boundary mark in Google Earth. And you can choose the style and color, whatever. And that's it. You have your property boundary. So then our next move is, like with Google Maps, is to draw contours. And as you can see, I enabled the layer, I use the transparency, and now I can start drawing contour by contour by using the new path from the toolbar. I can choose different colors if I want. I'll use the green one again, and I'll be drawing one by one. And there are many of them, but this is really simple. Google Earth is free, the map is free, and the tools are simple to use. And you just draw one by one. As I said, for the Google, for the US, this topographic map is a little bit more detailed. As you can see, we have more contours showing the terrain than the one with Google Maps. For the world, for the rest of the world, I wasn't able to find a topographic map that is as detailed as for US. But I think it's a little bit more detailed than the one that the default one that you get in Google Maps. So I would just, this is just simple. I'm just adding new paths. Each new path is like a new layer. I would make all the contours. I can, with here, I should basically see from the map what contour is actually what elevation. So you can see here, maybe, I think that's 800 feet. So I would find another one to the right, and I would see if the another one to the right is 900, then I would be able to count the contours in between. And so, okay, so this one is 800, so next one is 820, so this one will be 840. And I would, that's, you have to know those things. But for the sake of the example, I'm not doing that. I'm just, drawing all the paths, and once I'm done, again, I have a base map. I don't even have to draw the where the house is or where other features are, because I can see them from the satellite image. And we'll use the this base map that we create here for the next step. Next step is reading the landscape, and in the reading the landscape, actually use your base map and you draw whatever you observe on the field. You actually add on things that you can't see from this map. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up. So we are going to draw everything, and once we are done, okay, I'm going to do speed up. Okay, just
William, while you're speeding that up, Fabian asked, is this Google Earth Pro or is it the free version of Google Earth?
It's Google Earth Pro, but Google Earth Pro is also free, so it's not like a paid software. It's free as much as the standard Google, so I don't see why would somebody use the free version. But I would say that free version, you can also do this in free version. Everything is free. I think the Google Earth Pro has some additional features that are a little bit more advanced that I'm not using here at all. So,
Fabian, I hope that answered it. So it's Google Earth Pro, but and then he also said it could be in the normal version, but you might as well use Google Earth Pro because they're both free.
Yeah. So, and here it is. Okay. So I draw. Now I remove my topo map and I have my base map with the contours. Okay. So, and what was that? Probably 6 minutes. It took me 6 minutes. Maybe including the finding the website, let's say 10 minutes to create the base map. And now what you will do, Google Earth actually has an options to snapshot view. You go to edit and you use the snapshot view option, and actually Google Earth exports an image, and you can use that image as your base map. You just print it out. You can do hand drawings, or you can use graphic software, whatever. But this is your base map. It's That's level beginner. That's the easiest thing you can do. All right, so that's that method. So that's level easy. I'm not sure if there are any questions.
No, everybody I think is on board. One person, Monty, is having a little bit of a challenge because he's using his phone. I don't know how big your screen is on your phone, Monty, but you're probably going to have to scroll. GoToWebinar uses what's called a responsive web approach, and if there is just his visual image, his webcam showing, probably if you scroll you might see it. Otherwise, Monty, you're going to have to watch the replay. These are really meant for larger screens. Apologize for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's mobile enabled, this webinar. I'm not sure.
It actually normally is. Normally people can see the screens, but they're not very large. So, But other than that, that's all the questions you have right now, William. So.
All right. Okay, so we'll move to level intermediate. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so in level intermediate, you probably have to exert a little bit more effort into this, and for this we're going to use graphic design software, and those are called vector drawing tools. With a vector drawing tool, you can zoom in and zoom out as much as you want without sacrificing any resolution. So that means once you draw something, you can zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. You don't see actual pixels. Well, we are going to have pixels. We're going to import the images, but what you draw is without sacrificing your resolution. So, and also it gives you the options to, do the layers as much as we've done in Google Maps. Everything is, again, in layers. We need those layers, and once you start designing, then you even more need layers, because you want to put your water in your layer, you want to put your infrastructure in another layer, you want to put your living system, and then you can just, toggle them on or off once you're designing. So, sure, you can use the paper version as well, just draw with your hands, but there is a need to explain that we have technology and we're going to use it here. So just say one more important thing is that how accurate your base map here ends up depends on the quality of your topographic map that you get. And here we can go to find different sources. We don't have to just resort to Google Map or Google Earth. Sure, we can for satellite view. We can. Satellite view is all right in Google Earth, but ideally you want them to be from the same spot, and now I'm going to explain why. So for the aerial photo, you can go to online map services, as I said, Google Earth, Google Maps. Microsoft Bing has even better satellite images that I saw. But also you can go to government institutions. Like most municipalities or counties, they have their own online geographic information system that's available for free, and you can use the satellite image you find there. Maybe you can go to private companies, but why they should be charging you for something that you can find free online? With the topographic map, maybe there is a different story, but again, I said you can get topographic map from for free, as I showed in last step. You can get it for free also from government institutions, like the same you would do with the satellite image. They are free and they have more details, and most counties or municipalities have this kind of maps. And ultimately, it depends on it depends from county to county. Typically, the more economically viable the land is, the better the mapping they have. So if you're living somewhere where the real estate is, let's say, more expensive, the maps are going to be better. But in most cases, you can find this for free. Also, you can use the private companies as well. They might have some digital elevation models and also GIS data for the local area. As I said, if you pay for this kind of data, then you'll get a better detail. You get a better detailed topographic map. But as you're going to see in my example, I used everything for free. That was government institution offering the maps for free. And if I can find that in Croatia, I'm sure that you can find, in the most developed countries, even more, even better. So I'm just going to explain. I'm going to explain the steps that I use here. And so, just to quickly summarize, first we're going to take a screenshot of aerial photo. We're going to take a screenshot of topographic map. We're going to insert both of them into our graphic design software of our choice. I'm using Illustrator, but that's a paid version, but you can use the Inkscape. That's a free vector drawing tool as well. So there is, you have to have a certain skill if you want to do this in graphic design software. I used Illustrator for many years, and that's my preferred software. And I did have to put some, work into understanding it. But if you want your design to look really nice, really good with, all the features that you can imagine, and, being unlimited with your imagination, then I would highly recommend learning or either Inkscape or Illustrator. Of course, maybe there are others, but that's one that I'm using. So for photos, I'm using Photoshop. For my graphic design, I'm using Illustrator. You can do the same with the free versions. That for photos, it can be GIMP, that's free, and for graphic design software, you can use Inkscape, they're free. So we'll get aerial photos, topographic map, put them into the software, again, in layers, and we are going to draw on top of our topographic map in a new layer, again, contours. And we'll end up with a topographic, we'll end up with a base map. and I'm going to show you a video of how to do it. Let me see if there are any questions. Okay, I'm going to show the video and then I'll answer some questions if there are any. All right. So again, as I said, I'm using free, tool from my government organization. Free online. They have satellite images. They have topographic maps. Everything is georeference. Actually, it's a good tool. And now you can see actually my property here. And the advantage of these tools is that you can mark your property boundary if they offer that feature. But I'm doing this because you'll see later, once I'm taking my screenshots, I need some reference points. And once I have the reference point, I can take the satellite image photo and photo of my topographic map. So they are actually, once I overlay them, they are on top of each other without me scaling or doing anything. Otherwise, you would need to scale until you find a match between topo and satellite image that might distort your map, but it's easier once you have reference points and you use the. I'm going to use Evernote for taking my screenshots. I'm not sure on Windows or Mac which would use. You can use Evernote. I'm using Evernote because Evernote is going to give me the opportunity to clip a rectangle of a screen that I want. Okay, so as you can see, I'm using the lines to get, I'm using the edges of my property as a reference points. So once I grab a screenshot, I'll have two exact photos that I can overlay, and I would just save that. I would change my base map into topographic map. Okay, so you can see the topographic map. I would do the same. I would take a screenshot again with the same reference point. I'm saying if you don't have reference point, then you can take two different images, approximately, and then you would need to do a little bit of adjusting in your graphic design software. And I would take a screenshot of that. I would save both those images, and I would then just open my my graphic design software, and I'm going to import both those images. Okay, so here I have my Illustrator open, and I just place the two images. Okay, so I place my satellite image, and that satellite image is going to be placed in a layer, and I do the same with my topographic layer. I put it there. Okay, so they are on top of each other now, each one in its own layer. Basically, they're in the same layer, but the thing is, they're within the layer. There are two layers more, so I can use the toggle on and off, so I can see. Yes, I can see what's underneath. I can also use transparency, but I don't need to use it now. If I didn't have my pictures, in total alignment, then I would need to use the maybe transparency to see underneath and to match all the features. But again, I create a new layer, and in that layer, I'm going to name it contours, and I'm going to use the pen tool to just draw in that new layer, draw on top of the contours. Draw all the contours that I see on my map. Okay, so I would just, I could do it, as I said, I could zoom in as much as I want, and I would draw my lines, even, to really, it can be as curvy as you want. I'm just, for the occasion, just showing this. It's a little bit rough, but you get the idea. I use the pen tool. I draw on top of my topographic map all the lines that I can see. I just copy And once I'm done with that, I'll have my layer of contours on top of the whatever image I want. I remove the topographic map, and I'm left with a contours overlaid on my satellite image, and that's the whole point of this exercise. That's what you want to get. Sure, you can do your designs on just maybe terrain map or just on a satellite image map, but you don't need to exert that much effort to get something reasonable. As you can see, maybe with a little bit skill. All depends on, whether you have the skill, whether you have the time, whether you enjoy these kinds of things. You can always outsource, and I'll talk about actually outsourcing the whole job to somewhere. Sometimes that's much easier, but it's also, you will get much more detailed map. But for the first hand, you can create, for your designs, you can create something like that. And I would say it will be good enough, because we would use that map to go actually on the site itself and then actually see. So okay, I'm standing here, so is the terrain actually showing what I'm seeing on my topographic map? And you can add stuff. That's why I said it's a foundation for your design. Okay, so I'm going just to speed this up. I think you get an idea. Okay, so, and basically that's it. I draw all my lines on top of this topographic map, and now I can, toggle off my topographic map, and I did end up with the base map. I can, from satellite image, I can see all the houses and everything, or the roads. I can just, use my graphic designs, use this software that I use now to, draw in the road, draw in where the houses are, draw in another features that I just know on top of my head that are there, but they are maybe not on this satellite image. But that's the whole thing. You want to end up with a satellite image, all with contours, so you can see what your terrain is actually telling you. And if you see this dinosaur-shaped thing, that's actually a sinkhole there. And with a little bit knowledge of, we'll talk that later on, understanding the topographic maps, you'll be able to read the map, read the landscape just at looking at the map. And also, once you have, a bigger Google Maps is actually good for getting a bigger picture of your whole terrain. Once you zoom in enough, it's good enough to get a general idea of what the terrain is telling you around the site. But if you want more detail, then you have to go into this effort. Okay, and again, so what I would do here is just export this as an image, and I would use that. Those tools are. I would just go File and Export. Okay, so I go File, Export, and I export that as PNG, GPA, or whatever, and that's my base map. Done. So this is the level intermediate. Little bit more effort. So let me see if there are any questions.
Not a question yet. We'll wait. We'll come back. But, Mary's throwing in some great thoughts, and it's in the chat for everybody. And she's just advocating using a program called SketchUp, and she was talking about how it's easy to use. And I think there is a free version of SketchUp as well as a paid version. It'll allow you to do flybys and different things of that nature. So thanks, everybody. By the way, this is what's so cool about this format. You guys are all throwing in some great thoughts that'll help each other out. So you're going to get this chat roll as well as the question roll in the replay. So make sure you look for that.
Okay, yeah, I was planning about maybe doing something about SketchUp, but then I thought maybe that's a level beyond, the intermediate, because you can do in SketchUp you can actually import the aerial photo from Google Map, and you just click the area, and you can turn on the terrain, and you would see the terrain. Then you can watch from all directions. But to create a contour map, there is a process, and it's a little bit time consuming. But people can do it. As I said, I'm only listing 3 different ways. There are more ways. There are more ways with SketchUp. There are ways with using GIS software like Quantum GIS Map Info, and there are also online tools, and there are more options. There are more options. I just listed 3 that I think are, let's say, easy to do straight away. Even the third options will be easy with a few tools. You'll be able to do it straight away and get even more detailed map.
By the way, if you guys like this, you're learning from this, throw some ones in there. It'd be good for William and us to see that you're learning. So I appreciate it. Okay, we're getting a bunch of ones, William.
Okay.
Mary said she did her first PhD in PowerPoint, so it's obvious there's lots of good stuff, man. Lots of ones there for you, William. So keep on going.
Mary says that she creates 3D contour map. Okay, Mary, just send me an email about how you're doing it. I saw a few tutorials, and it's all about doing the different layers with rectangular shapes or something like that. So if something easy, send me an email. Okay. All right. Okay, so it seems that there is no questions. I have one more method. And
it's going to be great time. It worked out well.
All right, just give me a second. All right, so the next one is, okay, I call this level professional, but you'll see the only professional level is, actually hiring a contractor. You can do it yourself also with few tools, and you can go low tech or high tech. Actually, both are a little bit, high tech, but you'll see. So this is probably the most effort. It requires you going out in the field. It requires maybe investing some money in hiring a contractor and doing the work for you. If you hire a contractor, that's probably not going to be costly, but the return on investment is huge because you get a detailed map that is critical for understanding your terrain. And I'm going to explain the first one, and that's the do-it-yourself method. And for doing yourself method, as I said, you can go low tech. You can use the A-frame to actually get the contours, to map the contours on your land, or you can maybe use laser level, depending on if it's available, if you have it, or if you can borrow it, whatever. But you'll need something for creating contours, for marking the contours on the site. You'll need a GPS, like a handheld device, or you can even use your smartphone. The smartphone with the GPS enabled, and I would say that most smartphones today have GPSs. They are probably not as accurate as a GPS device, but you can even use that. So you can use A-frame, your smartphone, and Google Earth, because we'll be importing the data that you collect with your GPS or smartphone to export it, to actually import it into Google Earth, and then you can create also contours. So, as I said, the first thing would be to use an A-frame. I used for the image that you can see here. I actually used my A-frame. I created an A-frame, like 3 pieces, 3 sticks of wood and a small level, and a few nails, and I had my A-frame, and then I could go with that A-frame and find the contour on my land. You can do the same with the laser level, more professional, you can say, maybe faster, but if you don't have laser level, you can use the A-frame. You mark that first contour, and the thing is, you use stakes, wooden stakes, or you use, let's say, rocks, and you mark that contour. And then based on, based on the distance between the contours, you mark, let you say you walk downhill, let's say 5 meters, and you use your A-frame or laser level, and you mark that contour, okay? And then you can go uphill as well. So the point is, use stakes, use your A-frame, and you mark with the wooden stakes, or with the survey, those survey, I don't know, marks, or with the spray, whatever. You mark the contours. You choose the distance between contours, let's say 5 meters. And once you have all the contours marked in the field, you use your GPS handheld device, or you use the smartphone that you have. And the point is, you are taking waypoints, okay? So you would go on your contours, so you would go on the top of the contour, you would take your measurements, you would probably have to, let's say, wait so the GPS actually gets a better reading. So you would, you will mark your waypoint. You move, across the contour, let's say 2, 3, 4 meters, you would do the measurements again. So, and you would do that for all your contours. The point is that you get as many waypoints, as you can into your GPS device. And once you have that, you can use the Google Earth. I'm not sure if it's just Google Earth Pro, maybe that's the difference. But Google Earth has an option to import the data from your GPS device. You just connect your GPS device into Google Earth and import the data from GPS device, or you can import from file. And I'm telling you because the smartphones actually, if you have a GPS app on your smartphone, it will have an option to export waypoints in something that Google Earth can read. And there are different files that Google Earth can read. And what you are going to get is, once you import, you're going to get all the dots. You'll get all the pattern of your contour. And if you've done it correctly, you would mark your waypoints so you can understand what contour was what contour. But eventually, what you would end up once you connect all those dots is you will get those lines actually contour lines, and that's it. Basically, you would created your own contour map based on your readings from the field. It's not as professional. Maybe it's not that with a smartphone probably it's not as accurate. But with the GPS device, it could be better. Again, that's better accuracy probably than the one that we talked in the level intermediate. And finally, you can outsource a job to consultant or hire a surveyor, and he would do a detailed map. He would do anything that you're actually asking for. So this is something that I was doing for my client, and we just employed a surveyor, and we got did a contour map with a resolution of 2 meters. Okay, and she also did draw a boundary line, and she mapped all the objects, all the contours, everything. And I think that's 2 hectares, that's 4 acres, and the cost was probably, I don't know, $600 or so. So it's not cheap, but it's not expensive depending on your project. So if you are planning, to really create like an agroforestry system where you need to understand keyline and everything, then it's well worth, because you just you're thinking long term. So that's what I'm saying. It all depends on how much you're ready to invest. Depends how how much of burning pain your understanding of your terrain really is. So I outlined the easy way, the little bit harder way, and let's say most difficult, the most energy intensive, but hire a contractor actually is a good idea if you have the money. If you don't, you have to resort to the easier one, easier options. So, and finally, I want to say that the map is not a territory. So even though if you have the map, you still have to go outside and go onto the site itself, read. So this is just a starting point. The base map is just a starting point. With the starting point, then you can draw other features that you're going to see, and that's it. All right.
Awesome. Matt asks a good question, William. How accurate would the smartphone be in terms of elevation, probably, and location? And then
Well,
what app would you need? And then he's got three questions there. So first, how accurate would the smartphone be?
I would say the smartphone wouldn't be that accurate. I haven't actually done the contours, but I was doing measurements of the different terrain features that I saw, and I actually imported in Google Earth. That's why I said that they both feed into each other. So whatever you do on the field and goes into your map, it goes both ways. So you can slightly, okay, if you zoom in on satellite, you can slightly adjust. But smartphone is not as accurate. I actually use, I think it's Motion X GPS. That's what I use on my smartphone. But you don't have to worry that as much for the elevation data because Google Earth has, that's why I said it's not as accurate. With the smartphone, you won't get the results that are really accurate. But you'll get a decent enough idea, much better than the default Google Map terrain view. So.
Okay. Nick asks, have you known anyone to use a drone with RTK GPS to make a topo map?
I only heard people doing it. I only heard that, I heard Darren Doherty doing it. I don't know, was that LiDAR or something, but it all depends. Now you get into that rabbit hole of, actually how all those different technologies. My opinion is that, let's say 10 years ago, we couldn't even dream about having all these maps. Now maps are, being they're free, they're affordable, services are more affordable, and new technologies are coming that are going to make, all this even easier and more accessible. Because if you think that let's say 10 years ago there was, I'm not sure if the Google Earth was here, maybe 15 years ago, but the whole thing, the whole science of geography was probably changed with all the GPSs and everything they got, and now with the drones it's changing again. As the drones become more and more affordable, we are going to see new techniques and even more accurate maps, and most importantly, the cost of those services is going to go down. So it's only a matter of time when it's going to be, I just paid $100 for the. I think even in Australia, like 1 hectare is, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but it's some ridiculous cheap price, but they have huge properties, so hundreds and hundreds of hectares or acres.
Okay. Any other questions for William? This has been awesome, guys. You're learning a lot here. I was at, real quickly while we're looking for questions, I was at the Consumer Electronics Show a couple weeks ago, and drones obviously are a big deal there. And several of the companies that are mapping companies are starting to develop reasonably priced maps that will be competitive with things like the USGS contours in the US very soon. Literally, because they're developing them so much for autonomous vehicles, and that it's this whole technology is changing just so rapidly in front of our eyes. So,
and that's a good thing.
Lots about.
Yeah. And Matt said LiDAR is extremely accurate, but still cost prohibitive. But as I said, services were more expensive 5 years ago, but now they're cheap. So I can and even before, when I had my first GPS, it was really expensive, and now I have a GPS in my smartphone. It's only a matter of time when it's probably going to be maybe more accurate, but there are much more options, and it all depends on your how much you are actually ready to spend spend your time and money and everything and effort into creating a base map. But that's the whole point. you need a base map.
Yep. Well, any other questions for William for today, everybody? A bunch of people are giving you some claps and ones and
Thanks.
thank yous.
Thanks, Asha. Thanks, David. Thanks, Laura.
Not seeing questions right now. Brett says thanks. Sean says thanks. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Remember, we've got, gosh, still about 6 more sessions this week. Make sure to look on your calendars on your EAT website. So you'll see those there, and there's links to all of them. We've got a special one coming up still tonight from Nick Burton, and he's talking about marketing for a market farm or for anything really, but market farm specifically. And then Mark Shepard tomorrow night, and Kay Baxter that that Raleigh and Neil are going to have on Thursday. So lots of good ones to come. Well, if you guys have not got more questions, thanks so much for all the thank yous. I think I'm going to stop recording, and we will sign off for